Crust pizza. From the peri peri chicken and the meat deluxe to the Moroccan lamb. Crust do pizza differently.
Welcome to Saturday League Kickoff.
Good morning. This is the Saturday League Kickoff, and if you can see the heart broken in my eyes, you would be correct. I am absolutely devastated, and this is all thanks to Crust Pizza. Real ingredients and unforgettable flavours. Classic pizzas from $15. Welcome to our viewers on Fox League and our listeners across the SEN network and the SEN app. I'm here with the great Chad Townsend, the strongest hairline in the game. How you going, brother?
Proceeding, yes.
First man ever to have a proceeding hairline.
Yes. Kempy, I'm probably doing a lot better than you are this morning.
Well,
I know we'll get into the games very soon.
Can you let the audience know you're a coward without a team? Can you let them know? Just like, can we start off the way we're supposed to start off here?
You know what? That's probably one of the most asked questions I get now, retiring from footy. Which team do you support? I've left it open at the moment.
That's cowards, Chad.
Yeah.
Let us know if
I need to
is Chad I can't even say it. Chad Townsend a coward? 0457736736. Let us know off the bat. Is he a coward for sitting on the fence with his team? I mean, he won a bloody premiership with the Sharkies.
I support the Sharkies, no doubt. Right, I grew up in the Shire. I used to sit on the family hill. Watching the games, but playing for a couple of teams, you do have a soft spot for a couple of clubs. But yes, the Sharks are very close to my heart.
That translated to I am not a loyal man. That's what that translated to me.
They play later today. Let's hope they don't get dished up as much as your team.
Oh, wow.
Which we'll get into later on.
You know, unfortunately, you won't be able to claim it because they're not your team. They're just a random team to you. All righty, let's get into the opening tee shot, proudly presented by City Golf Club, where every great round begins. Okay, the Wars down DC and the Roosters, and who saw this coming? Now, I think a lot of people may have thought, yes, the Warriors, obviously they can beat the Roosters. They finished higher on the table last year. However, to do it in the fashion they did it, without Barnett, without Metcalf, absolutely outstanding. First of all, immediate thoughts of the game yesterday, Wars v the Roosters.
Yeah, look, it was, I've got to say it was a surprising performance from the Roosters, probably disappointing from their point of view. I thought the ill discipline from the Roosters really contributed to the result and the performance. Obviously, we'll hear from Trent Robinson a little bit later on in the show. But yeah, disappointing start for the Roosters. Obviously, there's been a lot of build up around the team that they've got this year now. Obviously DCE, the big off-season acquisition. The team on paper, I think, is the team that can contend for a premiership. But the way they played last night was disappointing. On the other hand, you look at the Warriors and the way they play. Well, it was more just same consistent Warriors, right? High completion rate, good performances, good individuals. So I enjoyed the game, but I still feel like there was a fair bit. There's a lot of improvement for this Rooster side, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely. I think the Warriors don't really get enough credit for how consistent they are.
100%.
Yeah, like they, we still have this myth around the Warriors. Oh, they're these super athletes with all this talent, and yeah, they can play really well, but they're one of the more consistent sides of the last couple of years.
And they consistently complete above 80%.
Yep.
And that's a margin or a target that teams like to aim for. It doesn't guarantee you a win. But the Warriors last night, 81% completion, 36 of 44 sacks. They controlled 56% possession of the games. They just made 8 errors. And that's the thing. Under Andrew Webster, the Warriors have been a team that is patient. They steered away from kind of their style. Remember the old sort of flary style the Warriors used to play? Now they play a much more controlled style of football. And I've got to give credit. Tanner Boyd last night was outstanding. Obviously in the absence of Luke Metcalf, we know he's due back from that ACL injury around 6 or 7. Tanner Boyd last night, 1 try, 6 or 7 with the boot, 1 line break, 2 line break assists, and 2 try assists. I thought that was his best game for the Warriors. He really stood out for me.
Yeah, absolutely. In a game where we're sitting here watching Sam Walker, DCE, and we're going, okay, wow, this could be the combo to absolutely decimate the NRL. It was the great Tanner Boyd coming in and doing a great job. And, mate, I agree with you. I probably reckon it was his first real game in NRL where I was like, oh, you actually, not you actually are an NRL standard halfback, but because he's obviously played NRL before, but more like I see a world where you're playing week in, week out at 7 in the NRL.
That was a starting halfback's performance by Tanner Boyd last night. Even, his goal kicking, 6 or 7, like just the consistency. I thought the kicking was really solid. And Tanner Boyd, who's been around for quite a while now, obviously started off with the Gold Coast Titans and now, playing a backup role for the Warriors. But last night, I thought he was outstanding. I just want to touch on this, Kempy, as well. An interesting fact from both of these teams' forward packs, combined metres they ran for. The Warriors ran for 645 metres total, their starting forwards, and the Roosters ran for 406 metres. So quite often we hear about the teams who lay the platform will go on to win. The Warriors forward pack deserve a lot of credit as well. Jackson Ford, he led the way 219 metres last night. I thought he was outstanding. And he's, a bit unheralded, Jackson Ford, a little bit underrated, but done a fantastic job for the Warriors.
Yeah, it's actually been something that I've looked at the Roosters roster heading into this year, and a lot of people go, oh, they're heavyweights, and, they're going to be in a grand final and everything. And that's actually the one area where I have some questions is the Roosters forward pack. Now, yes, they were missing Spencer Leniu, who was a key part of it.
Yep.
But at the same time, the Warriors were missing Mitch Barnett.
Yeah.
So it's not like, you know what I'm saying? So it's not like they weren't missing someone. And so that was actually my key watch for the game going into it. Now, granted, it was more probably the discipline that cost the Roosters forwards those meters. However, I wanted to see not necessarily how Sam Walker and DCE will click, because notoriously the Roosters take half a year to click anyway. You go back to 2018.
Yep.
They took quite a while. So that's something that I've got probably more faith that it'll happen later in the year. It's more actually their forward pack that I look at and I go, if you look at this forward pack right now, on paper their name is a top tier player.
Yeah.
But are they in the form of a top tier player? So for example, White, obviously he's a top tier front rower.
Yep.
Angus Crichton, he was actually pretty quiet last year, most of the year. He got better towards the end.
Gussie gave away some silly penalties last year.
Yes, and he's obviously signed with Union, so there's that, And then you've got, on the other side, Radley is suspended, but on the other edge you've got Nat Butcher, and he's a solid first grader, but I wouldn't say he's a top-tier edge back row. Then at 13, you've got rookie in Steep.
Yep.
And so when you actually break their forward pack down last night, I don't think that is a top 4 forward pack right now. And I think people are getting kind of caught up in some of the names rather than where they're at form-wise.
Yep.
And at the moment, the forward pack, I think they didn't win the battle. I think the Warriors forward pack got the job done.
Yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more here. The Warriors forward pack deserve their credit. They deserve their praise for what they were able to do last night. You just mentioned before the Roosters slow starters. Historically, they've always been slow starters. The Roosters, they were slow starters in the Cronk era when he came across. And obviously the new combination, Sam Walker and Daly Cherry Evans. I just want to bring up this for you, Kempy. The role that DCE is playing at the moment, obviously wearing 6 on his back. He averaged 72 receipts or touches of the ball last season. He had 50 last night. So he's playing a different role. Do you see something now watching these two play? Is this something that you think, or how much improvement do these two have with the way they play? Is it DCE just taking a back seat and letting Sammy take over? Because for me, I watch it and I'm like, this is Sam's team. Like, he's running the show and running the shots for the Roosters.
That's the big question I have with the Roosters, because we all just expect, oh no, they'll work it out. But funnily enough, the Roosters' biggest Achilles heel since Cronk retired was they haven't been able to settle on a halves combo.
Yep.
They tried, obviously, Sam Walker at 7, he got dropped. Keary came into 7. Then they were like, okay, we're going to play Keary at 7, we're going to play Walker at 6. That didn't work. And they've tried all these combinations, and yet they've settled on the fact that if Sam Walker is in this side, he has to be the main man.
Yep.
And so, look, I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that they'll make it work. However, it almost looked, at least from just the information we have, I understand it's round 1, but just last night, it almost looked like, why have DCE even there if he's not going to really be his second fiddle? You may as well have Hugo Savala there, who actually we know he complements Sam Walker quite well.
Yep.
So that's my reading off one game. Obviously, wait till we get to the middle of the year.
Of course.
But yeah, that's the feeling I was getting. It was almost like, is DCE, what's the point of him at the moment?
Yeah, of course. And those questions are, constantly going to come that Daly's going to have to answer throughout the course of the season. Obviously, that's what happens when you change clubs, a big off-season acquisition.
Well, see, I'd argue the Roosters have to answer the question, not DCE. DCE he has been recruited by the club and being told to play a second fiddle. So
that isn't his natural game.
Yeah, and so it's like, well, it's not his choice to be doing that. He's been brought to the club to do that.
Yeah.
I go higher and say, what are the Roosters thinking by saying we needed that at the club at the moment? Now, granted, it's one game, guys. So we could be looking at round 10 and going, wow, this is the greatest thing we've ever seen together. We know the potential. DCE, I think, actually plays more like a 6 than a traditional 7, actually, ironically.
Yeah, of course. And if you want to join into the conversation today, you can text us 0457 736 736 like Tynan has here. He's texted in, DCE's defence is absolutely shocking. Always has been and always will be.
Defensively, he has had some issues.
Yeah.
He has had some issues. Like outside, if you watch him quite closely, defending outside of him can be hard at times because sometimes he chooses to jam, sometimes he chooses to slide, and sometimes that's just because he's such a high level defender. He can make those audible calls on the play.
Yep.
But being outside him, it's a very, very tough game because sometimes he will just make that call of jamming in super early, and you just have to follow no matter what. And then the winger is caught in no man's land, and he looks like the bad guy. And it's like, well, actually, it's further in the play where this is all kind of unfurled. Now, look, I'm not ready to say he's a terrible defender and he's not going to work or anything like that. I think that there's got much more problems than what DCE did last night. Their biggest problem, and I've got it, it's their discipline. And I get it that when you look at the penalty count, it's lopsided, and I'm happy to admit that the Roosters didn't get the rub of the green. But for example, when the Roosters were 5-0 in 6 against themselves, the average play the ball speed of the Warriors was 3.77 seconds, and the play the ball speed of the Roosters was 3.44 seconds. Now, I'm not saying that definitely proves that those 6 agains were warranted, but if there's that much of a difference and you're getting 6 agains against you, that would suggest to me that they are holding down the Warriors.
Yeah.
Now, I'm just saying it suggests. I'm not saying it definitely locks that in. And even later on, when there was more 6 agains and the penalty count was 10-1, they still had the Roosters had an even faster play the ball speed. And the Warriors had come down just slightly to 3.2 seconds, 6.2 seconds average compared to 3.35 seconds average. So, again, that would suggest to me they were holding the ruck down slightly because it's not like the Warriors weren't winning the contact and winning the ruck. They clearly were. We look at the meterage and everything like that.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, ill discipline hurt the Roosters last night, as you mentioned, Kempy. Obviously, the 6 against, 11 penalties conceded against, 13 errors, 3 ruck infringements, 3 inside 10s. More reaction here on the text line. One here from Paris Steve. As much as it hurts me to say this, Roosters will be playing finals, probably even top 4. That's from Paris Steve. And traditionally, they have been slow starters. I still think they're content. I know, obviously, they're disappointed last night. I know DCE is the first target for the Roosters, but they're still a finals team, aren't they?
Well, I think.
They've won one game in. We're one game in. We're one game in. We'll call the Jets.
And also one team that gets to go, we start slow, is the Roosters.
Of course,
they have a history of starting slow. Now, let's hear from the Sheds.
We just didn't execute well enough to, we had enough possession there with sort of 15 to go to go after them, and we, credit to them, they held us out, and then it turned around. But the story's, 42 points is unacceptable for a game. No matter how you feel or how it went, there's no way that that's acceptable in a performance, and we know that. And it's pretty simple. We've got to make sure we fix that up.
There you have it, Trent Robinson talking about their discipline. I will say discipline has been an Achilles heel for the Roosters for many years now.
Yeah.
At least 3 or 4 years where you looked at their completion rate. And I just wonder, I think especially definitely after this year we'll know, but I wonder whether the Roosters style needs a tweak. And obviously the Roosters style is we aren't afraid to attack.
Yep.
We aren't afraid to try our hand, and also we're hyper aggressive. I wonder whether that kind of warrior mentality that Trent Robinson tries to instill in his players, he almost needs to pull it back a little bit and be a bit more conservative with his approach. Now, again, it's round 1. By round 10, things could change. And we've seen those crazy charges they go on where you think they're done and they win 10 games in a row or something like that. But I think in today's day and age, yes, you can afford to have a little bit of ill discipline, but not as much as been trending with the Roosters for quite a while now.
Yeah, and that's their style, right? The Roosters play a very physical style of football. They want to take teams on through the middle, and they want to break tackles, be powerful. And that's you go to the Roosters. I know I spent 12 months there last year. They don't change for anyone. They know their style, and that's what we talked about before with DCE going there. DCE has to fit in with them. Let us know your thoughts on the text line 0457 736 736. Text us anytime or call us 1300 01 117. You got another text here from Elliot. Guys, the refereeing has not helped. The Warriors versus Roosters game was atrocious. The Lecker try was a no try and awarded. The Parramatta game and Hopgood getting charged was ridiculous. Contact with the head and shoulder happens every set. The set restarts are ruining the game. It's touch football now. Brisbane can't even score a try. Ha ha. ridiculous.
Well, it's round one.
Hey, I want to ask you about Leka Halasima. Obviously, that try last night he scored was incredible.
What was wrong with that try? I didn't think that was.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a fantastic try, if I'm honest with you. Now, it's interesting to know he played one game in the centres for the Warriors in the trial game. The second game he played in the back row. He started on the bench on the weekend, came on in the back row. Your take on Leka Halasima and his outlook as just a future superstar.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried in the preseason trials. I thought we might have a bit of second year syndrome. You know, they get a bit used to things and think they're just going to come naturally. But he came on, he was outstanding. Look, I think he might be a victim of his impact because he's so impactful off the bench.
Yeah,
that there's a world where a coach is almost reluctant to play him for 80 or 70 minutes because it's like he changes the flow of the game. Now, the game has changed. Back in the day or early 2000s or whatever, you had your best 13 and then your reserve, like your bench was players that weren't as good as your 13.
Yep.
It's not really like that anymore.
Yeah.
Like it is basically like, what is our best team makeup rather than if I'm a good player, I get to play 80 minutes kind of thing. So that's changed a little bit. But, I mean, his future is whatever he wants it to be, honestly.
I was interested to see the celebration last night when he scored.
Yeah.
And then straight away took the headgear off and held it up, and I didn't know what it was about.
Yeah, translation, please.
Translation, please, Leka Halasima and the Warriors. But nonetheless, plenty of very good takeaways for the Warriors in their round one win against the Sydney Roosters. Now, mate, let's move on to...
Let's not. Let's not and say we did.
Let's not and say we did.
Yeah.
We are going to move on to the Broncos, and their big loss, 26-0 against the Panthers last year. Obviously, this replay of the prelim from last year.
That meme where the guy's like wakes up? That's what that was me last night. Like, I started the game and I opened my eyes, it was 26-0, and I was like, what just happened? What just happened?
What just happened? I couldn't agree more with you. I thought I was shocked. I did not see it coming. A lot of takeaways for the Broncos so far this morning. Their worst completion rate by a Broncos team since 2017.
Awesome.
And their biggest loss by a reigning premiers since the round one Seagulls in 1988.
Got them where we want them. This is called the rope-a-dope. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
This is called the rope-a-dope. We're on the ropes. We're ducking. We're diving.
Yeah.
It's a loss we needed. Matter of fact, it might be the first planned loss in rugby league history.
Loss. And I know there's people saying the World Club Challenge and the hangover and this and that.
Spare me.
I agree. I don't think it's an excuse. But I look at this Broncos team, right? Super talented. Any team that has Payne Haas and Reese Walsh in a team is just absolutely lethal. The fact that they didn't score a single point, some of the strike power they have in their team. Katoni Staggs in the back line as well. Gamut Shibasaki, a try-scoring machine from last year. Obviously, Walsh. And Walsh got a lot of credit last year for the way he played, the way he just carried the Broncos to a grand final, the Clive Churchill. But last night, he just looked like a shade of himself from last night.
Yeah, look, they looked flat. They looked so flat. For a team of that talent to not score a try, that is shocking beyond belief. They looked flat. They looked, I won't say disinterested, but they just didn't have the energy. They just didn't have anywhere near the energy that we saw at the back end of last season. And I think that it's either two things. It's either complacency.
Yep.
Or it's either, the volume has been ramped up to 1 million and the boys are just struggling to go back-to-back in regards to they had a huge year last year.
Yep.
They have another big preseason after the last big preseason, and mentally they're just struggling with the mental load of it all. And, I mean, what it really does, yes, the talk is about Broncos losing 26-0, disaster loss round one. But what it does for me, it just really does put into focus the greatness of the Penrith Panthers. 4 in a row, bro.
Yeah, I know.
The Brisbane Broncos are already on the ropes. We are already sitting here talking about fatigue and flatness, and these guys did it 4 years in a row,
and
bro.
Then in 2020, they played in the grand final
Yes.
and lost to the Melbourne Storm. And then in 2025, they played a prelim. So, it is just absolutely incredible. I definitely agree with you on that fact. Let's hear from the latest from the sheds, thanks to Best Sheds, Australian Sheds at a lower price. We've got Michael Maguire on last night's loss.
Completing at about 61%, and I think we had 18 errors. Yeah, we just we put so much pressure on ourselves, but that comes from the opposition. So they came here and applied pressure, and we had too many errors to be able to put yourself into a game like that. Play high quality teams and you've got to build pressure. We just definitely didn't do that. We just got to get back to the game that we know that they can play, and it'll be up to us, and we all need to chip away at making sure we find that game this week.
There he is, Michael Maguire, talking about completion rate. The scary thing is, though, and he talked about the other opposition was pretty good. Penrith weren't even as good as they can be.
Yeah.
That's what's scary about this. That's what makes this loss so dramatic. Penrith Panthers, usually when they complete at 71%, they're getting beaten. You know why? Because their game is built on high completion, ball in play,
possession,
fatiguing teams.
Yep.
And so for us to get beaten, not just a little bit, if we lose 16-4 to the Penrith Panthers, I'm not even batting an eyelid. They're the Penrith Panthers. They were my favourite for a reason heading into this season.
Yep.
But to lose against a Penrith team that didn't even play that well for how good they are, that's what's scary. And to lose 26-0, the problem that Madge faces is that I know you've got two sides of the aisle. You've got, I can't believe there's any questions about him training the boys too hard. They just want to comp.
Yeah.
And then you've got the other side of it, it is a thing that has been following him for a while, how intense he is. That you cannot deny that if there is one Achilles heel to Michael Maguire's career, it's longevity and consistency at the top of a table.
Yep.
Now, that is going to follow him all year long. Now, even if it is not true, the history has suggested that he is almost the best in the business, if not the best in the business. If you want to win a premiership in the first year or two, he can do that for you,
and
literally.
That's the thing, right? And he went to the Blues or the Kiwis, had immediate success. Went to the Blues, had success. Gone to the Broncos, had immediate success. But the long-term question is, can this regime, can it be sustainable for the long term? There's more text coming through this morning. If you want to join the conversation, 0457 736 736. Good morning and welcome back. I heard a new Knives Out. The Madge saga starts filming north of the border soon. That's from Magpie Swanee.
Yeah.
So they weren't great last night, the Broncos. 19 errors for the Brisbane Broncos in round one. Reese Walsh, 3 errors himself, and Jordan Ricky as well.
Yeah, Ricky was great last year. Unfortunately, last night, quite poor. With Walsh, I spoke about this last year, especially mid-year when he was struggling with his form mid-year. We forget that actually happened because he was so good. But he's just got to, as you know, mate, and you learn this as you get older when you're playing NRL.
Yep.
You got to build into the season.
Yep.
The small microseconds that you earn yourself by round 20, they're not there in round 1.
Yep.
And that's the margin of error he plays with when he's at his best at the end of the season. He is playing with millimeters and centimeters, but they're not there for you in round 1. So I just think he needs to go, you know what? And he did it for Origin. He's done it before. He did it last year. Strip it all back. Become a run-heavy fullback at the start of a game. First 20 minutes, don't even bother about the passing and the kicking and everything. Yep. Just run the ball a lot. Because, as you know, mate, and I know it sounds simple and you'd go, well, of course he's being told that. No, but really tell him, don't even bother about the passing or whatever. Get yourself into the game. Begin to feel it out. Then you can start earning the right to have those big plays. And so I just think that don't get caught up in all of the Reese Walsh needs to have 3 try-assists. He needs to be the greatest player we've ever seen every single week. And, all the articles are starting to talk about, can he be the greatest player ever? Brush that. Don't even think about that. Think about, when I walk off the field, does Michael Maguire say I had an 8 out of 10 game?
Yeah.
And if that means that I don't have a single highlight reel, that's good.
Yep.
Who cares about the highlight reel? I know Walshy wouldn't be, but there's a natural tendency for superstars that is expected of them. And granted, I think this is partially the Broncos' fault too, because there's a lot of players out there at times that just go, Walshy, help us out, sort us out.
Yep.
As a team, you can't be thinking like that. You've got to be thinking, if it's not me, who is it?
Yeah.
Not, Walshy, I need you to sort this out for us. So it's a mixture of two things. He's just got to strip it all back. If he walks off the field with no highlights, but everyone's happy with his performance, that's a win for Walshy because he's got the talent to take care of all the other stuff later in the year.
Yep, love that. All right, we've got more to come. Have your say. Call us now or anytime, 1300 01 1170, or text us 0457 736 736. Coming up, we'll look back at the games from Las Vegas, the previews for the rest of the weekend. Plenty more to come after the break. Yes, good morning. This is Saturday League Kickoff thanks to Crust Pizza. Real ingredients, unforgettable flavours, classic pieces from just $15. Welcome to our viewers on Fox League and, of course, across the SEN network and SEN. Kempy's been a big show so far, but let's get into the Thursday night game now. The Parramatta Eels went down to Melbourne. A lot of people were saying this could be the chance. This could be it.
I was one of them.
I was one of them too. I was
Idiot.
proved wrong. Craig Bellamy, 23, now 24-0 in round one games. And the Parramatta Eels conceding 50 in round one. Your first initial thoughts and reaction from the game on Thursday night?
Just a reminder to all of us, the Storm are a ruthless, well-oiled machine. And when the big round one comes, they will deliver. Like they are a guarantee. Essentially 100% guaranteed to deliver on a big game for round one. Look, I really was surprised with the Eels. Like I think that it showed, yes, they've made a lot of progress, but they looked like a team that had not necessarily reading the headlines, but might have been patting themselves on the back a little bit heading into this year. And when I say that, I mean, sometimes when you have this year that no one expected, you go into the new year expecting things to happen rather than earning things.
Yep.
Last year they earned every inch.
Yep.
This year they opened round one basically offloading, and they were playing footy that they looked like they'd play in round 24 rather than round one.
Yep.
And there's a reason why there's a round one style of rugby league, which is relatively conservative, build into the crazy stuff towards the back end of the year. Like if you go and look at the standard of rugby league from round one compared to round 20, it's night and day.
Yep.
And so I just think the Eels just got a little bit ahead of themselves, and I think the Storm remind them, hey, this is what it is to be the big dog in the competition.
Yep, I couldn't agree more with you. And all the chat going into this game was around who the Storm had lost. Obviously, some massive names, more like Xavier Coates, obviously Pappenhausen, Asafa Solomona, no Trent Liero, Queensland State of Origin representative, no Eli Katoa as well. For me, I was really impressed with Joe Chan.
Yep.
I don't know. What do you make of when he got pezzed on the ground and just let him know about it? I absolutely loved it.
Oh, from a viewer's perspective, I love it, and I guess it just shows you that it meant something to this Storm side.
Yeah,
it meant something. They were, and granted, whether who you agree with how it was handled. Obviously, I agree with the Eels and how they've handled it, but it was ammo for the Storm. They haven't had ammo for quite a while because they've been the big dogs.
Yep.
Heading into last season, they were a lot of people's favourites. This year, Bellyache has all the ammo in the world. It's us against the world. Look, everyone's talking poorly about us. Everyone's writing us off. And they played like a team with a chip on their shoulder.
Yep, I couldn't agree more with you. Stefano Utoikamanu probably had one of the best games of his Melbourne Storm career on Thursday night. He ran for 239 metres. Your take on Stefano?
Yeah, I mean, he's just gone from strength to strength.
Yep.
I'll be honest, when he went from Tigers to Storm, I liked the move, but I was a bit hesitant of does he actually have it in him to go to another level? Like there was many years at the Tigers where you would see these false starts and you would go, okay, look, listen, I understand that the Tigers organisation is nowhere near as strong as the Storm, but surely there'll be 1 year here where he almost does it himself, where we see his potential, and then he gets down there, goes into Origin, comes out of Origin literally like a different person. And now, I'm almost expecting him to be one of the better front rowers on the field. Whereas back in the day, if he just had a solid game, I'd be like, okay, that's good. Whereas a solid game for him now, it's almost like it's a letdown.
Yeah.
He's been outstanding. I don't think he's ever run over 200 metres in an NRL game. Did it last night.
Right.
Did it on Thursday night. So, mate, absolutely outstanding. And look, I say this, I think this is unequivocal. I think that you can argue about who's the greatest coach of all time. You cannot argue about who is the greatest player developer of all time.
Yeah.
It's Craig Bellamy.
Yeah, you've got a case for it, definitely. I arguably think Craig Bellamy is the greatest coach of all time.
Yeah.
We've got some great coaches. I'm not disrespecting any of them, but just what Craig Bellamy has done. You talk about the development of some of these guys, lesser name guys into first graders. I want to talk about Sua Faalogo, Kempy. The excitement machine at the back, the goose step.
Goosey? Don't call it goose step. That's weird.
The swan
What are you
dive.
from the 1950s? the goose step.
The goose the swan dive as well. It was when he scored one try into the post. It was like a half swan dive. I want to see a bit more airtime. So far longer. But I thought he was a highlight reel on Thursday night, and it just it excites me the fact I called the game on SEN with Jimmy Smith, and just the opportunity that we have to watch this guy go for the rest of the year, and the highlight reel that he could potentially put together by the end of the season. Wouldn't it be? It's going to be incredible.
Oh, mate, he is a highlight machine. And I think the Faalogo, his performance, what I liked the most about it, granted, it still had the highlights. It still had all the good stuff.
Yeah.
But it was actually quite a classy performance. It was quite a mature performance. Like, there has been tendency in the past when he has had his opportunity, and I get it. When you're coming out of reserve grade and you get that one opportunity, you're hell for leather. You're sitting there going, mate, I need to make something happen every time I touch the ball because I don't want to lose my spot. I want to play so good, they give me a bench spot. Whereas I feel like what you saw on the weekend or Thursday night was a Faalogo that is more confident of his role, that he doesn't need to do that. So he still gives you the brilliance. But I thought, errors were down. He wasn't trying. He was very much identifying when he needs to make the big play, when also he needs to be a cog in the wheel. I thought some of his ball playing was much better.
Yep.
And look, Bellamy has gotten some very solid players talent-wise to be great. Imagine what he can do with Faalogo long term.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting for the Melbourne Storm. There was a lot of key contributors for the Melbourne Storm on Thursday night. Obviously, we spoke about Tuikamanu, Cooper Clark. Take on the young fella.
Wow.
Geez, he's a big lad.
He's a big boy, 140 kilos when he arrived at the club.
So he was SG Ball Player of the Year last year for the Melbourne Storm. Made his debut in round one. He looked really, really good.
Yep.
He looks like a guy who could have a long-term future in the NRL with the way he carried the ball. Really strong, wasn't he?
Yeah, and the thing is, if you're an outside back and you're young and you come in and you have a good game, you go, okay, speed and power and explosiveness, that's a young man's game.
Yeah.
But physical strength in contact. Now, I know we've been spoilt for choice with your Tinos and your Payne Haases, but they're the exception. They're not the rule.
Yep.
For Cooper Clark to come in and be that physically imposing on the game, that doesn't happen. It's not supposed to happen because you're not supposed to be as physically as strong as a 25-year-old, a 26-year-old that's been in the gym longer, that's had contact longer. So even he had a little half break with a little flick pass as well. Mate, he was special.
Yeah, and keep your text coming, 0457 736 736. We've got a text here from 687. Cooper Clark had a good stint on debut. Unfortunate he didn't get more minutes because of injury, but I think he's definitely one to watch. And another one here from Daniel from Prairie Wood. Beak and Chad, there are three certainties in life: death, taxes, and Storm winning in round one. The supposed lack of depth many in the media were citing wasn't lacking at all. Storm forever.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you push back on that? I thought, look, the thing, I will say this, I was it's reasonable to think they might struggle a little bit after they just lost 5 starters.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable opinion to have.
Of course, definitely.
However, that's what makes the Storm great is that they don't really go by the normal rules. They don't, every time we think that, okay, now the dynasty's over and now they've lost Cam Smith or Cooper Cronk or Billy Slater or even, all the way back to GI or Israel. Okay, here's when the dynasty kind of ends. And they just, again, it's why Craig Bellamy is the greatest player developer of all time, because whatever is brought to him, he will make them a top 8 level rugby league player.
Yep. And Harry Grant was up to his usual Harry Grant best, the wizard, Harry. 2 tries, obviously didn't finish the game, which was reported as cramp. Or an ankle injury. I'm not too sure what the actual report is out of Storm camp. But Harry Grant hit the ground running. His running game is
it the best we've ever seen?
It's such a feature
for
the Melbourne Storm. When they lay the platform, like Tuikamanu did, and they get Hughes running over the ad line, they get Munster. It's almost like it's a competition out of their halves and their spine, who can run the ball the most. They were elite on Thursday night, weren't they?
Their ability to identify, quick play the ball and be ready. I can't... Yeah. Do you know how many reps you have to get in to know to be flat compared to deep for a play out the back? The amount of times that you'll be in a video session and the coach will be blowing up because it's like, mate, why are you deep here? You should be up flat on the ball. We got to quick play the ball. But it's hard to choose because if you're up flat all the time, you can never get any plays on. You got no space for yourself.
Yeah.
But their ability to just know and feel, okay, a quick play the ball's coming. We need to be up flat. It's second to none. And Harry Grant, look, I don't think anyone will ever eclipse Cam Smith as the greatest ever number 9. And I don't think anyone's close at this stage. However, specifically if we're just talking about running game, I think he's one of the best we've ever seen, Harry Grant.
It was interesting. I heard during the week about the nickname that Harry Grant was getting on the Ashes tour from his fellow Aussie teammates.
I haven't heard it.
So Harry Grant yet to win an NRL premiership.
Yeah.
They were calling him Heine. That is savage from
Oh my God.
Aussie teammates.
He'd be one of the great players not to win a bloody
I mean,
premiership.
you'd
if he
have to
doesn't.
think he's going to be a premiership winner at some stage over the course of his career. He's just that good. Hey, keep the text coming this morning, 0457 736 736. Here's one from Jared. Love the next man up mentality at the Storm. Look, we've got to get to a break, but don't forget, have your say, 1300 01 1170, or text us anytime, 0457 736 736. This is Saturday League Kickoff live on Fox League and across the SEN network.
Welcome back to the Saturday League Kickoff simulcast on Fox League and SEN Radio with thanks to Crust Pizza. Classic pizzas from $15, real ingredients, unforgettable flavours. Order now at crust.com.au. T's and C's apply. And our apparel partner today is Struddies. You might be thinking, how does a head that rough look so good? It's because of Struddies. Gear up for the season with Struddies. Shop with Struddies because they're your buddies. Struddies.com.au. Okay, New South Wales Rugby League QRL update thanks to Sumo Energy. Local energy with real Aussie support. The Storm versus Eels result. Storm, first ever New South Wales Cup match at Amy Park, ended in a 36-22 loss to the Para Eels. A double for both Sam Rani and Tungor. Hugo Peel with a try for the Storm. Mate, how's that sound to you?
Yep, Hugo Peel. I've heard big raps on the youngster down at the Melbourne Storm. They love him down there, from what I understand. So I, expect him to develop over the course of his time. But the Storm made changes in their junior rep system or their pathways. Now bringing in a New South Wales Cup team. So it's great to see. Great for obviously Victorian Rugby League that these guys now have a genuine pathway into the NRL, much like Faalogo, a Melbourne come up through the juniors there.
All I see is a club in turmoil. All I see is a club in turmoil.
Some other results from the New South Wales Cup over the course of the weekend so far. The Warriors versus the Roosters. The Roosters had a big win against the Warriors, 48-14. Now, these two young halfbacks here, Jet Cleary and Toby Rodwell, they both played halves in this game, have a big future. Obviously, we know Jet and the family links that he has. But Toby himself spent some time with Toby last year at the Sydney Roosters. He looks like he has all the goods. Toby Rodwell, going to be a future first grader, in my opinion. Tries to allow for Keddy, who would later back up and actually play in the NRL.
Yeah, we're going old school.
Yeah, sit
back
on
in the day.
Playing and then back up, sit on the bench.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I don't mind it at all.
Junior Tupou as well scored a try. And Tommy Talau, who's obviously just come across from the Manly Seagulls to the Roosters on that one-year deal. He unfortunately looks like he's gone down with a non-contact injury potential. I'm sure scans will confirm and potential ACL injury.
Just back to the backing up minutes on the.
Did you do
first
that
grade.
back in the day?
I might have done it. I can't remember.
Because it was before my time.
Yeah.
I'd never.
But what's interesting about that is like sometimes when it's a trial match or whatever, you're stoked that you get the extra minutes up a grade because you don't have to do extra fitness on a Monday.
Yeah.
You're like when you get no minutes or whatever in a trial, you're like, no, that means I'm going to do con on after the game or con. That sucks.
So while we're talking about the New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup, I just want to get your take. Like the 6-man bench has obviously been brought in this season,
mate.
right?
It's going to smash it.
These guys here at that New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup level are going to be probably heavily factored in. I spent some time called a game with Brett Kamali, New South Wales Cup coach for Manly on Thursday night, and he said, "Yeah, well, you just lose, 2 extra guys. Now those guys may be playing less football." What's your take on the 6-man bench? You like it? You don't like it?
Oh,
so far.
I don't. I mean, I need to see more of it. In theory, I actually don't like it. I like the beauty of a player being forced to play out of position, of the utility.
Yeah.
Like, I get that, we're going to keep the quality up because we're replacing an outside back with an outside back, but, it's kind of like the under-20s comp when it came in. I understand why they did it, but I really do think it hurt the depth and development of a lot of young talent. Like, back in the day, it was under-19s, reserve grade, first grade.
Yep.
And so you got these really good apprenticeships through New South Wales and Queensland Cup where people were ready for the physicality and the rigours of first grade. Whereas when the under-20s came in, we saw some of the game's best players come into first grade and get dropped because they weren't ready for it because they came straight from 20s into first grade.
Yep.
And I think there was a real knock-on effect from that. And to be honest, I think we're still struggling as a game from it. Bringing that under-20s comp in, it obviously hurt New South Wales Cup, it hurt Queensland Cup. and we haven't really recovered since. And so with this 6-man bench, I just worry what it does about development of players. Now, you go and look at a guy like Owen Paddy, who, Ricky Stewart has come out and said he's playing reserve grade, not because he's not good enough for first grade, because I want him playing minutes. I want him getting minutes in a rugby league match to just, it doesn't matter how much simulation, it doesn't matter how much training you do, a game of rugby league week after week after week is going to give you so much better feel for the game. So, and
that's exactly what Brett Kamali actually mentioned. He's like, I think development may slow down just because guys won't be playing as much football. So that's definitely one to keep an eye on. Some more New South Wales Cup, Queensland Cup action over the course of the weekend. The Dragons this weekend are absolutely stacked in the New South Wales Cup. They take on the Bulldogs later on today. They've got the likes of Tyrell Sloan, Hayden Buchanan, Matt Fino, Lycan King Tongia, the exciting youngster Cade Reed, who had a tremendous preseason, Loco Pacific Tonga, Blake Laurie, Jacob Hallengahu. So there's some big names to watch there. And then in the Queensland Cup as well, Jesse Arthurs, who unfortunately missed out selection with the Brisbane Broncos, Preston Ricky playing for South Logan Magpies. A good story here. Carl Oloapu.
Yes.
Remember the name? The Bulldogs youngster?
Yeah, and he had huge raps on him.
Huge raps. He makes his return for the Redcliffe Dolphins. Jordan Plath, the brother of Max, also.
Didn't they paid a massive transfer fee for him from somewhere, didn't they?
Yeah, that rings a bell.
He was with someone, and the Doggies paid a mozza, maybe from Manly.
Yeah.
Paid a mozza to get him across, and then obviously everything happened to happen. So yeah, $500K for his release.
Yeah, well there you go, $500K.
Wow.
And let's hope he gets some clean air now.
Lomax is only worth $250K though.
Oh, let's hope he gets some clean air and gets an opportunity to express himself and play some of his best football. Moses Mbai as well. He is the captain of the Ipswich Jets.
Oh, from the Broncos. Okay. Sorry, apologies, guys. Oloapu, we're just getting the notes here. They got paid $500K from the Doggies. Oloapu was with the Broncos, and
right.
Wow.
Take him on board.
Yeah.
Moses Mbai, captain of the Ipswich Jets.
Wow.
The veteran.
Okay.
So he's
he was over in Super League for a while, wasn't he?
Yeah. He was with St. Helens. He was with St. Helens. So he's had a fantastic career, long career.
Okay.
Moses Mbai. Let's just don't forget you can text us anytime today, 0457 736 736. Hey, just a quick one on the Broncos here from JJ Kempy. Do you think Madge will play Moser anytime this year?
I mean, it's interesting because like if Mam can't even make the starting side, how's Moser getting in there? Now I know, our 9 roll wasn't great initially last night. It's a tough one.
Yep.
Because I would have thought Ezra was absolutely, positively locked into that starting role to start the year. Comes off the bench. Look, they're going to have to do it sooner rather than later. I know Madge is ruthless in regards to unless you're exactly what I want, I'm not playing you regardless of how much pressure there is for me to do it. But we just can't afford to lose Moser as a club.
I feel like he's been touted for a long time, but just hasn't had opportunities to play.
Well, I mean, he had the front run last year, but he got injured, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And I don't know, look, it's hard. I don't watch reserve grade, or I haven't watched him in reserve grade, so it's hard to tell, and, injuries and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to have to happen sooner or later, sooner rather than later, I think, because otherwise Moses is just going to go, I'm 22 now, I'm getting a bit older.
Yeah.
Like, I can't sit around in reserve grade. And there's other clubs that would pay a pretty good penny for a guy like Moser.
Yeah, of course. Another text here from 322. If you're texting in, guys, make sure you chuck your name on it. We'd love that. People text in on their names. Even if it's a fake name, one you want to make up, that's fine as well. G'day, fellas. Loving the show. Is the NRL going towards a draft with 2 more NRL sides and a 6-man bench watering down our cup competitions?
I mean, draft is hard because of the legal precedent, and we just don't have the same development. I don't think so. And also, with the draft as well, it sounds good in theory, and I would love the 2 or 3 weeks or whatever the draft happens. The one thing that's good about being so willy-nilly is that transfers for rugby league happen every single day of the whole year.
Yeah.
There's always drama around transfers. So from a pure, watch the world burn perspective, and I just want content rather than, the clubs and fans that want players to stay.
Yeah.
There is a method to the madness at the very least. Sorry?
I'm not a massive fan of it.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm a traditionalist, much like you are. Rugby league is the beautiful game. I don't think that's very much AFL American sport style
Yep.
of things. Hey, Kempy, let's move on to quickly touch on the Vegas games. Just quickly, your takeaways from Vegas. Obviously, you were over there. Your trip, obviously, the Bulldogs, their Golden Point victory, an exciting start to their season in 2026.
Yeah, look, I think the Dogs are such an interesting side because they're one of the very few teams that, and I'm trying to think of another team that I've noticed over the last decade or whatever, where their system is ready to win a premiership. The club's big enough; it has all the resources. Everyone knows exactly what they need to win a comp. Whereas, like, even with Penrith, it came out of nowhere. Broncos last year came out of nowhere. Storm, like, they're already in the premiership business. Whereas, like, I'm trying to think of a unique situation where we're all kind of, like, treading water with the Dogs going, listen, like, the system's top tier, the club's big, they've got everything in place, they just need probably one or two key players recruited from somewhere else and they go on to win a comp.
Yep.
And so, like, people have been quite negative on the Dogs, and yes, I understand their attack wasn't great. However, I just think the Dragons played a lot better than people are giving credit for.
Yeah, I agree. I thought the Dragons were outstanding. And I think if you're a Dragons fan, you can take a lot of confidence from that performance for the Dragons. They completed, I think it was 84%. They controlled the ball. Atkinson's long kicking game, I didn't know he had that in him. I obviously now Atkinson getting much more airtime with regards to opportunity, signing that 3-year deal. But I do want to talk to you about that high tackle from Stephen Crichton, Kempy. Now, Phil Gould, he, as he does, jumps on X, Twitter. And if you don't follow Phil Gould, it's an interesting follow. And he was asked, Gus, thoughts on the Crichton high tackle when the Dogs played in Vegas? And Gus's response was, what high tackle? There was no high tackle. As ruled by Bunker and Match Review Committee, I will explain the mechanics of the high tackle at a later date. People just want to be outraged.
Mate, maybe I need a new TV because I swear I saw a bit of contact with the head.
My initial thought, I still think this now. If Braden Burns, I know Braden Burns left his feet and it looked a lot more aggressive, but I thought, and Crichton's, hasn't been cited by the Match Review Committee. I thought he should have been 10 in the bin.
As in Critter?
Critter.
I agree. I'm willing to, the thing is this, like, okay, I'm willing to cop him not going 10 in the bin if you want to go mitigating circumstances, even though what's crazy is, like, it's actually less mitigating than the Ponga situation. You know why? Because every kick chaser knows that wingers and fullbacks, as soon as they catch the ball, they go to ground. So there's a part of your mind knowing he's dropping.
Yeah.
Whereas KP, he wouldn't have known that he was slipping.
Yeah.
He was going to slip. So, but you know what? I can live with that bad call or whatever. He doesn't get 10 in the bin if I have to. But for him to not even get a fine,
Yeah.
that's insane, bro.
In a day where, like,
Oh, mate.
head contact or contact with the head is just there's so much focal point on that right now, obviously with HIAs and whatnot. And look, even in Golden Point, I actually thought the Dragons handled Golden Point a bit better. They had a couple more shots. Just want to ask you quickly, Kempy, around the field goal that Atkinson took that he missed, that the Connor Tracy caught in the in goals. They got 7 tackles for that. Do you think the Dogs should have got 7 tackles in that scenario after the Dragons were going for the win in the game?
Yeah, I've always hated rules that deter attacking footy.
Yep.
Because like basically what you're saying there is like just kick the ball into a corner and start defending.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think they need to tweak that, and they already have tweaked it for some of the other stuff. Yeah, so I think that they need to tweak it. But the Knights, just quickly on the Knights, what were your thoughts on the Knights' performance? I actually thought one of the unsung heroes or unsung stories of the weekend was Holbrook. Like, what a great win.
Yep. Fantastic win.
Outstanding win, but it wasn't just their attack. We know Holbrook is a great attacking coach. I was actually more impressed with their grit on their line.
Yeah. Oh, look, I when I think about the Knights, their performance in Vegas, I think of their attack. I loved watching their attack. I love the fact that KP got his hands on the ball in first receiver multiple times. And the amount of times that Dylan Brown passed to KP passed to Dylan Brown. Obviously, Fletcher Sharp had an outstanding, opening 20-odd minutes before he went off with injury. Sandon Smith would come on and fill that void seamlessly. But I was really impressed with the Knights because they They couldn't attack last year.
Oh, mate.
They couldn't score a point last year. And also the energy of Kalen Ponga. I thought, if I'm a Knights fan, the way that he was celebrating their tries, when Phoenix Crossland kicked that 40-20, he was first one up there to pat him on the back. So I was really impressed. And Trey Mooney, I thought he was another one.
Yep.
Had an outstanding game. Have your say. Call now 1300 01 1170 or text us anytime 0457 736 736. Coming up, we'll have a look at the rest of round one. This is Saturday League Kickoff. Yes, welcome back to the second hour of Saturday League Kickoff, simulcast live on Fox League and on SEN Radio. All thanks to Crust Pizza, real ingredients, unforgettable flavours, large pizzas from $15. T's and C's apply. Don't forget, you can join the show anytime, 1300 01 1170, or you can text 0457 736 736. Kempy, it's been a big first hour.
It's been a big first hour, but I'm fuming, Chad.
Yeah,
I'm angry. I'm
Yeah.
filthy. And people get scared when I get angry.
Well, I know there's something that there's a bit of a bee in your bonnet over the course of round one.
And I don't want to scare people. When I get angry, people get scared, bro.
I know.
I'm a scary man.
And as someone who has gone up for a ball many times.
Caught most of them. And I don't catch them. It's your fault as a kicker. Put it where I want it, please, mate. Put it on the money. I'll get the job done. Don't put it out in the row 3.
Put it on the money. But yes, over the course of round one so far,
Yep.
we've seen the one hand go for the. You got to have two.
My
hands.
God.
So what's actually going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. It's a rule made by a bloke that's never gone up for a ball. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
Unbelievable stuff. Do you understand how much? If you have to go up with two hands. Do you understand how much that changes the way you jump for a ball, and also how many less kicks you can go for? Like I can't understand this idea that we play a game built around deception, but we're introducing a rule that doesn't allow you to deceive the catcher.
Yeah.
Like what? Why can't I jump up for the ball as long as I don't hit anyone? As long as they still have clear path to the ball. Why can't I jump up and try and put someone off?
100. I'm competing for the ball.
What are we going to ban? Stepping next? That's the same thought process. The same thought process is don't do a right foot step because you're telling them to go the wrong way. What I don't get it. Misdirection and deception is a key part of rugby league, and now saying you have to go up with two hands. Do you understand how? First of all, let's say we've got. Look, we're on TV here, so you can see. Going like that.
Yeah.
Look how much extra space I have.
Yeah. How do you get that arm over the same?
Look at that. Like, it's nearly a full metre less that I can try to get the ball out. Like, okay, so I've got to constantly dive like a goalie towards balls. Like, it's a rule made by a guy that's never caught a bomb. So I tell you what, if the guy that made the rule, you go catch 5 Burton bombs, I'll cop the rule.
Yeah.
If you can go catch 5 Burton bombs, I'll cop the rule. Like, we have athletes sprinting at top speed, trying to pull off feats of athleticism that 99% of the population cannot do, and now you're telling them techniques to use to try and catch a ball. Aren't we supposed to be making the game more exciting? What's exciting about a guy having a clear catch to the ball? So on one hand, we're doing short dropouts. That's the ugliest rugby league in history to watch. There's not a single person that enjoys watching a short dropout where it's you're contesting for the ball. But on the other hand, where it's actually exciting, watching a winger go up for a tap back or whatever, we're reducing the amount of things that he can do in the air because he has to go with two hands. It's just like, bro, I don't understand it. Why are we making all these rule changes? There's not a single person watching rugby league over the last couple of years that was sitting there going, you know what we need to change? Blokes pump faking. Man, I hate how that guy jumped through too early. Like, there's not a single person that looked at that and said, I just don't get it. It's a rule change from a guy that's never caught a high ball. That it changes technique so much. Like think about, okay, so you're saying, what about the bombs that nearly go out and you see them get tapped back with one hand?
Yeah.
Is that a disruptor, is it?
Are you allowed to compete with that with one arm?
with one arm. Like, it's just silly. Like, I don't get it. Like, I know they're trying to, like, make it black and white. How about this? How about you're allowed to put other people off? How about you are allowed to jump in their vision as long as you don't hit them, touch them? This is what I don't get with some of the rule changes as well, is, like, the rule changes imply that we didn't already have rules in place to protect the catches. We already had rules in place that if you bump a catcher off the ball before he has an opportunity to catch the ball, if you I mean, we can tell when a guy is clearly not going for the ball. We had that covered. We have that sorted. Yep. Now you are changing the core technique of a ball catch to fix a problem that doesn't exist.
Yep.
Doesn't make sense.
I couldn't agree more with you, Kempy. I think it's an awful rule, and I'm not sure too why it's been brought in. Let us know what your thoughts are on that new rule, 0457 736 736. We've got one here from David from Glenmore Park. Hey, guys, the Harry Potter rule.
Yeah.
The Disruptors rule is the most ridiculous rule. Hey, Kempy, let's move on to the games, the rest of the games in round one. Now, this afternoon, the Gold Coast Titans come up against the Sharks, Cronulla Sharks at Ocean Protect Stadium later today. Josh Hannay facing his former team. Obviously, he was a part of that coaching staff. Sione Katoa, Jesse Colquhoun and Billy Burns all in for the Sharks. Teague Wilton out of the side. How do you see this one? Oh, sorry, and Lockie Ilias in place of Jaden Campbell. What's your take on this game this afternoon, Kempy?
Yeah, I think... look, I'm going to go Sharkies because they're a safer bet, and I just don't think they probably... Now, granted, they have been notoriously slow starters in round one at least. Their round one hasn't been great. They don't have the best record. However, I don't think they just get enough respect for how consistent they are as a footy side. And I look at the Titans and, my heart wants to go, yep, the Titans. But I just need to see them, they were good in the trials.
Great in the trials.
And it wasn't the result that I was impressed with. It was a style of footy. But you're going up against a very well-oiled machine. That the halves have played together now for 3 years. That whole team's been together for at least 4 or 5 years if you include reserve grade as well.
Yeah.
And so I just think, look, can the Titans win? I actually think they're good value when you look at the value for a head-to-head win. But I just think the Sharkies, they're a well-oiled machine. They've been together now for quite a while. I think that they're going to get the job done.
Yep, I agree with you. I think the Sharkies will be too good this afternoon. There's so much to look forward to. I think the Titans, they've much improved so far under Josh Hannay. Their preseason was fantastic. Obviously, they've got no Jaden Campbell this afternoon. He'll be a big loss for them, but a great opportunity for Lockie Ilias to come in and put his foot forward. How do you see Lockie Ilias's future or his season playing out for the Titans this year?
Well, I mean, you never know. Rugby league is a crazy game. Sometimes we've seen this before where a team's best player gets injured, then someone comes in and kills it, and all of a sudden they're trying to make way for that guy that comes in and kills it. So, Look, he could jag a 14 spot. There's no reason why. The good thing about Campbell is that if Lockie kills it and let's say Brimo doesn't or something, Brimo can always move to either fullback. I know he's not going to get Kinney's spot, but he can move to fullback. He can play centre. He can come off the bench. And Campbell, he absolutely can be a 6. So there's a path to win a jersey. Whereas, let's say Ilias was just a worse version of Campbell. They were similar styles of player.
Yep.
There's no real pathway there. You're basically just going, we're playing. Whereas they couldn't be more different as 7s.
Yep.
So there's a bit of a pathway there for it.
Yeah, well, the Titans haven't beaten the Sharks in Sydney since 2017, and the Sharks have won only 2 of their past 12 round 1 matches. Let's move on to the next game.
Got some text here quickly, mate.
Oh, here we go. Yeah.
Kempy, the one-hand rule is clearly a response to players last year pretending to compete but really just disrupting a clean catch. Okay, when that happened, they got a penalty against them.
Yeah.
I don't like that. We weren't sitting there going, "Wow, what a plague on the game! Look at these people faking one-handed catches." Let's say, I honestly reckon, and I watched essentially every game last year. There might have been 2 or 3 in the entire year that they got wrong when it comes to the disruptor rule, where a guy was pretending to go up with one hand and didn't touch the ball.
Yeah. It's
Anyway, on to the next game.
Let's go.
Next game.
Seagulls, Raiders.
Look, I think the Raiders are going to have a better season, but I think the Seagulls get the job done. Seibold, he has started the year fast in the past.
Yep.
He's got all the ammo in the world. I'm very look, if you had asked me 4 weeks ago, I would have been quite not confident about the Raiders. They're still in the bottom of my top 8, so 4 to 8. But I don't know, as I get close to the season, I'm just getting a little bit more nervous around that young spine, that it's going to take a while to click.
Yep.
And so I still have them in my top 8, but I just think Manly probably start the year off a bit stronger. Yeah,
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go Raiders to win this game this afternoon. Okay. I actually tipped Manly for the wooden spoon. And I've had a lot of banter with Manly fans back and forth. Andrew from Manly Weather, I know you're out there listening probably somewhere. He'll text in. No,
well, they're my bottom 2. They're in my bottom 2 as well.
Yeah. But nonetheless, a great opportunity for both of these sides this afternoon. Jaden Braley makes his Raiders debut this afternoon. It's a first game for Turbo as captain. He's obviously replacing DCE.
I want to ask you quickly. Thoughts on Joey Walsh at 14? I'm going to sound like a hater here.
Yeah,
but look, I'll cop it for round 1 or 2 or 3 or whatever.
Yep.
But I find sometimes coaches, they fall in love with, okay, he's good enough to play first grade, I'm going to stick him on the bench.
Yeah.
But every minute he sits on that bench, he's not leading a team around the park.
Yep. So Joey Walsh has been, he's going to be our Sunrise Rising Star this weekend. Sunrise local stores, we've got you covered. Need to refuel your car or stomach? Find your closest Sunrise local store, newsunrise.com.au. Now, I agree with you, Kempy. I like everything I've heard. Like I asked Brett Kamali the other day, who's the New South Wales Cup assistant coach.
Brett Kamali, do you?
Yeah,
wow.
Brett Kamali. He's a great friend of mine. And I said, Joey Walsh at 14. Like, you know, how do you feel as the New South Wales Cup coach? Why isn't he playing 7 to play? Like you just mentioned, a full game, you know, to get a team around the park. And he said, well, he's just forced their hand. He's been that good at preseason training.
So where's he coming on,
They
though?
want him in the team. But that's the thing, right?
Like, I don't want him playing 9. I don't want him playing through the middle.
Yeah.
I want him playing 7. And so, let's put it this way. Let's say he is a utility off the bench. Now, I'm not saying he is, but let's just assume that he is going to be come on through the middle somewhere.
Yep.
If you are a player that's coming on through the middle somewhere, your preseason and the way you shape your body is like night and day to what you are as a 7.
Yeah.
Like if he was, let's say they were preparing him to be the utility off the bench, he would probably put on extra 3 or 4 kilos.
Yep.
And so that's my concern.
And also, obviously, you know, playing in the middle, you obviously make more tackles, you get more beat up. I've got a big rap on Joey Walsh.
Looks good.
I really like him. But my question to you around how this season plays out for Manly, obviously Fogarty's come across on that 3-year deal from the Raiders. He'll play his former team later today. Is there pressure on Luke Brooks to perform? And if he doesn't
100%.
perform, is he the first one in this halves duo that'll make way for Joey Walsh?
Yeah. Look, I think... Unfortunately, you know, Brooksy, great bloke, you know, solid NRL player, but he just doesn't have any lives left, unfortunately. Like, I think, you know, going to Manly, he started really well when he got there, but since then, he has been the benefactor of so much drama going on that no one's spoken about Luke Brooks.
Yeah.
Because, like, DCE gone, CEO gone, Seibold under the pump, Tom Trbojevic getting named captain in a car park, can't believe it. You know, is he going to play? Is he not going to play? Like, there's been so much noise around Manly that one of their biggest signings in the last couple of years, he's just flown under the radar. But, like, he hasn't been bad for Manly, but he hasn't really impacted many games.
Yeah.
And so I just think that Manly, they probably need to bite the bullet. If he doesn't impact games going forward, they probably need to make some tough calls, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, Luke Brooks did say he was open to a positional switch. He would go on to say, if the club comes and needs it, I need to do what's best for the team. I'll be open to it.
I wouldn't mind him as a 14.
Yeah, he could do that.
As a 9.
Yeah. Yep, definitely. We haven't spoken about it with Siebes, so it hasn't been a huge thought in my mind, but there's no doubt.
Siebes is still in the car park.
He's still on the beach?
He hands out clubs captaincies in the car park, and he also does positional changes in the car park.
Siebes is under a little bit of cherry mesher.
Oh, mate. What about the picture on the beach that you just brought up?
Yeah.
Like,
one of the
surely you're thinking, okay, I'm in Manly. I'm the head coach of Manly.
Yeah.
There's a highly likelihood I'm getting snapped here.
Yeah. So we've got a text here, 04...
These kids in their damn phones taking photos of me meditating. I can't believe it.
You can't think that you're going to...
Hey, don't take that photo of me without my shirt on. I'm the head coach of Manly. Stop it.
Jeez.
Oh, my God.
Text us anytime, 0457 736 736. We've got a text here from 568. Make sure, guys, you put your name on these text messages. I'm a Manly fan. We'll do okay week to week, but won't make the 8 while ever we have our coach out there. He's done nothing and can't be there by the end of the season.
Yeah, look, I hate to be too harsh, but my biggest concern with Joey Walsh at this stage is Seibold's ability to develop young players. Like, I'm trying to think, you know, there's 2 ways you could look at it. Did he debut all these young guys at the Broncos?
Yeah.
Yes, I guess, but they also won the Spoon.
Yep.
And when you actually look on that side on paper, like, that side should never win the Spoon.
Yeah.
I'm just a little bit worried. Like, I'm trying to think, okay, so Olakau'atu's improved. Kola probably improved a bit. Now, I don't want to take away from Seibold, but, like, could you say that was just a natural progression in their game as they got older? But I'll give Kola and Olakau'atu to Seibold.
Yep.
Outside of that, who has really improved as a player?
I mean, it's a good question. The Manly have only made finals once in the past 3 years. So the development or guys improving, you know, remains to be seen just because they haven't had the continued success.
Yep.
Right. I got another text here, 113. Thoughts on Jakey T's new headgear. Before we move on to the next game, just lastly, your thoughts on the new headgear. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I seen it. Look, I don't know. You probably don't know this, but I'm not a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
Dr. Kemp.
I'm not. My brother's a doctor. I'm not a doctor.
Really?
Yeah, he's
Oh,
a
wow.
doctor. Yeah, got everything he knows from me, even though I'm younger.
Yeah.
But
Well, he's got a degree in science, medical science. You've got a degree in football, right?
yeah, a degree in rugby league, baby. Now, my understanding is like, there's no headgear that we're aware of that stops brain trauma.
Yeah.
Because the problem is that like, I mean, again, I'm not a doctor, and I know they've tried to show this, like, okay, this is, but all the headgear research I've seen from sources that I guess trust is they only stop cuts, because the reason trauma happens is because when contact is made to the head, your brain sloshes around in your head, and your brain is not made to do that. Whereas, like, for example, a woodpecker, its brain is made to be held in place as it pecks the wood.
Well, its tongue wraps around its brain and holds it still.
Yes. And whereas a human brain, it sloshes around when you have contact. And so I'm just not understanding how that headgear stops that. And there's also an argument. Now, this isn't a fact and this isn't locked in, but there is an argument that it's actually worse because you're more confident and you put your head in places that it shouldn't go with the headgear on.
Yeah, right. Interesting, Dr. Kemp, here on
you
Saturday League Kickoff. Let's move on to the...
So they pay me the big bucks.
the next game, the Rabbitohs versus the Dolphins up at Suncorp Stadium. Now, we're hearing it could be a little bit wet throughout this game, which most people, I'm sure, are hoping for a dry track. You look at both of these teams, their attack. I
just have to answer this text. Seibold can't coach. Trust me. Russell Crowe.
Rusty on the text line. Text us anytime, 0457 736 736. Kempy, Dolphins and Rabbitohs.
Might be the most exciting game of the weekend.
Yeah, let's hope for a dry track, really.
Yeah. Dry track, we might see some of the best attacking footy.
Yep.
Especially since Broncos planned to lose, so that attack is kind of sorted.
Yeah.
So, like, they weren't going to attack hard because they wanted to lose.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Dolphins, they scored the most points last year.
Yep.
I mean, that Rabbitoh side, we don't even need to say what's going on there. It's incredible. I think this might be low-key match of the round.
Yep.
I think that the Dolphins are the biggest smoky for me this year. I think that, as you know, mate, better than me, but like rugby league, it's not played on paper. But on paper, if you said to me on paper they have a top 4 forward pack, I'd agree with you. I could say that's a reasonable statement.
Yep.
If you say they have a top 4 back line, I'd say that's a reasonable statement. And then you could argue they've got the best young 7 in... Not argue. They've got the best young 7 in the comp.
Yep.
They've got great depth. They've got great resources.
Yep.
So for me, they're the biggest dark horse. Now, I'm going to go Rabbitohs just because they look just ready to rumble.
Yep.
And, there's some key players that are going to build into it maybe for the Dolphins. So I'm going to go Rabbitohs. I think a lot of people are looking at that left edge for the Rabbitohs and thinking Johnson's going to score a bunch of tries. I actually think it's going to be Campbell Graham.
Right.
And watching them play in their trials, what they would do is they would get Dave Fafita to lay that line. And because the teams are going to be wigging out about Latrell and Fafita, they're going to stack that line.
Yep.
Like, anytime you get into a position where, do I put 4 on the short side and 6 on the long side, or whatever number split you want to do, you're going to be sitting there going, okay, I'll put more on the Fafita side.
Yep.
And so I think that they're going to overcompensate a lot of teams, and you're going to see Campbell Graham and Whiten scoring on the edge there.
Well, that actually happened one time throughout the course of the preseason challenge. The Rabbitohs stacked up their left-hand side, and then they moved it out to Campbell Graham, who scored a fantastic try. There's no doubt. There's a lot of talk around that South Sydney edge, like Fafita, Latrell. They ran a lot of that shape around David Fafita running that lead line inside the opposition centre with Latrell swinging out the back. It's going to be one to keep an eye on. But Alex Johnson, 2 tries away from the all-time try-scoring record. Are we underappreciating Alex Johnson and this milestone in the game?
Yeah, absolutely. And all I'll say is don't storm the field when he does it. Don't you dare storm the field when he does it. How dare you, rugby league? Looking at you. Don't you dare storm the field when he breaks the all-time try-scoring record. I'll be very disappointed if you storm the field.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it.
Don't do it. We wouldn't want rugby leave fans.
We wouldn't want to have a great moment that AFL had a few years ago. Like, we want to play by the rules. Like, come on now. Come on now. Let's have a bit of fun, but don't storm the field.
All right, we got a caller here. Wayne from Griffith. Good morning, Wayne. What do you got for us this morning?
Just want to ask you boys, what's the chances you reckon the Rabbitohs have this year of taking out the big one?
Kempy?
Mate, it all just revolves around, obviously, injuries, but you can say that about every side, so we'll get that out of the way.
Yep.
Mate, it's just their 7, really.
Yep.
Like, I think that The only knock I have on the Rabbitohs is and you could say this about many teams, so please bear with me. If you take Cody Walker out of that spine, it's not a top 4 spine.
Yep.
And you could maybe even argue it's not a top 8 spine.
Can he stay on the field?
But because Cody Walker is essentially the best attacking player in the comp over the past, honestly, nearly decade.
Yep.
And I know that's going to shock some people to hear. Go and look at his stats before he got a few injuries. He's got like the most try. He's got top in the last 5 to 6 years. He's in the top 5 for try scored. He's got like the most try assists, the most line break assists. Like he's essentially the best attacking player. So that's where I go. He is so good that if he stays on the field, he can, as long as the rest of the spine does their job and just gets them. And I think Ward actually did that quite well in the thingo.
Agree.
That's going to be enough to use their crazy forward pack and their crazy back line. So if he stays on the field, injuries aren't a problem. I do believe they could be a premiership threat this year.
Yep. Agree. Wayne, thanks for your call. Don't forget you can call us anytime, 1300 01 1170 or text us 0457 736 736. Coming up, we're going to have a chat about Zach Lomax. Will he play rugby league in 2025 in the NRL? What his future looks like, as well as Mitch
Storm applying the blowtorch.
Applying the blowtorch.
Thursday.
Mitch Barnett, what does his future look like as well? This is Saturday League Kickoff.
Welcome to the Saturday League Kickoff, and it's all brought to you by Crust Pizza. I'm getting hungrier by the second, and I know where I'm stopping when I go on the way home. Crust Pizza, real ingredients, unforgettable flavours, large pizzas from $15, T's and C's applies. When I was with the Dragons, I used to live on Crown Street. Downstairs, there was a Crust Pizza, and honestly, I think I got a mortgage to do with that place.
What do you go to? I'm
a margarita.
I'm a big peri-peri guy.
I'm a margarita, and I'll tell you what, I'm sick of the slander on cheese pizza. Just because there's not a lot going on it doesn't mean it's not nice.
Should pineapple be on a pizza?
No, that's disgusting.
No.
But at the same time, if it's a crust, it's great. If it's a crust, it's great.
I'm a big peri-peri guy.
Okay, big peri-peri guy.
Yeah.
The Zach Lomax saga. That sounds like a Viking TV series. The Zach Lomax saga. Can we get Netflix? Shout out. Can we get a Zach Lomax saga? Lothbrock, he'll be the main guy in it. But is it finally over, mate? Is the Zach Lomax saga finally over?
Well, I mean, we've got some clarity around what it looks like with the Eels now. Obviously, standing on business and holding their ground with the conditional release, they were able to.
Do you reckon the Eels said that, like, that was their argument in court? Like, I'm standing on business.
Yeah.
Your Honour.
Hit the gavel and that's it. That's all she wrote. But
and then he was like 6'7".
Yeah, but the next day, right? The thing that was interesting to me, the very next day, Zach Lomax is seen walking out of Rugby HQ.
What time? Like, how did the photographer know he was there?
Yeah. So
it was just a random photographer out the front of Rugby Union headquarters at all times.
Yeah. I'm interested to see where Zach Lomax plays and how this sort of plays out because I'm a fan of the game, and Zach Lomax is a top-tier talent
100%
in rugby league. And look, I've said it multiple times. Obviously, everyone's spoken at length about the situation with Zach Lomax, and I think it's taught a lot of guys or players, if you get a release, make sure you've got a contract there ready to sign straight away. If you are a betting man, Kempy, where do you think Lomax plays? And what code does he play in 2026?
Yeah, look, I think rugby league. Like, I think that the fact that he was so quickly photographed at Rugby Union's headquarters, suggests to me that's more of a pressure play than a
publicity potential.
Yeah,
management.
The timing of it suggests to me that, he has gone pretty far down. I guess the rabbit hole to try and get back into the game.
Yeah.
Now the Storm are a great club.
Yep.
But to say that they're so above everyone else he'd rather play for that he'll go all the way to court for it, and then if they say no, he'll just leave the game.
Yeah.
That doesn't add up to me. It suggests to me that he wants to play rugby league. He wants to be with the Storm. They thought they could get it done. They can't. So I actually think that he'll be, he'll be in an NRL club. I want to be really clear too. Is like, do I agree with how he's handled it? No.
Yeah.
Especially, look, it'd be one thing if he just randomly walked out and this all happened, but the Eels did work with him. Like, he did get released from his contract 3.5 years, or I'll just say 3 years early.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, mate, although you're a gun, you're one of our best players, you're an Origin International, you're on $700K a year, we will release you. And on top of that, I think the Eels, what's getting lost in all the noise is, most of the times a situation this arises, what do we see? We see I won't say the club, but someone begins leaking negative stories about the player that wants to leave. And their reputation gets absolutely tanked.
Yep.
Now, the Eels didn't do that. They were actually really respectful of Lomax, and it was actually an amicable breakup. Matter of fact, it was so amicable. Yeah, okay, it made headlines, but I think a lot of people would just went, okay, look, do I agree with it? No, but I get it. It's a lot of money. And, some of us would do it, some of us wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I think that the sticking point here is that the Eels had already been flexible.
Yep.
And they basically, to then come back again and say, oh, I want you to do it again for me. And also I want to go to one of your biggest rivals that towers you up every round one.
Yeah.
It's just, so look, I want to be clear. With all of that being said, I don't agree with it. I don't like how they handle everything. People have done a lot worse in rugby league and we've forgiven them.
Yeah.
Like, it's a breaking of a contract. And you understand why he did it. It's a lot of money. I don't agree with it. So I do think he should be forgiven. I do think he should be back in the game. However, only if the Eels are happy with what they get in return.
Yep, 100%. That's what we do know. The Parramatta Eels standing on business at this stage.
Sorry, I just want to answer this quick.
There we go.
I've seen this quite a bit. If it was any other club at the Storm, he would have got released. I totally disagree with that because
that's from 315.
That's from 315. Put your name to it. What does that say, Craig Bellamy? What the hell? Look, I disagree with that. You know why? Because they did try to work with the Storm.
Yeah.
They offered Ryan Madison, and I want to be clear as well. Ryan Madison, even if he got offered $1 billion of the Storm, he doesn't have to take anything. So I don't want to say that it was his fault. But the Eels did agree to a terms, essentially. It was, if you take Ryan Madison plus give us a bit of a transfer fee, we'll give you Lomax. But the deal couldn't be done.
Yeah.
Now, that's not Madison's fault, but the idea that they wouldn't work with the Storm is just not true. It's not true. That's evidence they were trying to work with it. And also, the Eels, it's a new administration. They are not mugs. They're not going to be pushed around. They have got one of the best trading assets in the game right now with Lomax. Just because he doesn't agree to go to the Storm now, or that didn't work out, who says in 6 months they can't trade into a different team for a player that they like?
Yeah.
Like, they'd be crazy just to give it up because people are saying, oh, just give it up. Come on. It's like, hang on a sec. Until 2028, we have one of the best outside backs in the game to go to a club to and say, can we have your front row or we'll give you this back?
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
Yeah, definitely. And what we do know, the Storm offered $750K to the Parramatta Eels.
Not in the cap.
Not in the cap, which is interesting. Obviously, Parramatta aren't short of coin.
So Parramatta, to my understanding, this is just a few quick Googles, made like 20 mil profit. That's not even revenue.
The Leagues Club.
The 20 mil profit. So your revenue, you're talking like 60 mil.
On the old slappers.
Well, can't confirm or deny.
Yeah.
That's probably taking some of my money. I'll tell you that much for free.
Let's just quickly touch on the Rodsky text to Abto about the blowtorch situation. Obviously, how this got leaked is pretty crazy. But where do we sit on this? Is it fair game to sort of to do that, or is this so far against what's right in rugby league?
If your only defense against this text is other people do it, then you have no defense.
Yeah.
You don't get to say, oh, come on, mate, like CEOs text the NRL all the time. Maybe they do. But like if I go and rob a store, I don't go, mate, stores are robbed all over the world. I'm not getting locked up. It's like, no, we've seen this. It's wrong. And look, maybe for the betterment of the game, it hasn't been as big of a deal. Like we haven't really pursued it.
Yeah.
But no, it's wrong. You cannot imagine messaging Abdo and saying, apply the blowtorch to the refs to give us a try next week. What do you reckon's more? A try? What do you reckon's worth more? A ref giving one try to a team because the CEO said, or a team getting an Origin player because the CEO said?
Yeah.
I think the Origin player. So look, outrageous. I'm glad, if I'm being honest, and I'm glad that the NRLs didn't get subpoenaed because I think that did have a lot to do with it. This is pure speculation, but I do think the NRL probably said to the Storm before the court case arrived and they got subpoenaed, listen, you're taking whatever deal the Eels are offering because this cannot go to court. Because the problem if that happens is like it would smash the game's integrity, and we can't, unfortunately as a business it would be too negative.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't like. What did you think of it, mate?
Yeah, I didn't think it was a good look. Right. Obviously putting pressure on it. I understand the trying to get the deal done, but to tell them to apply the blowtorch, I thought it was a bad look and not a good look for fans and people across the game.
Look, if the wording kind of had been kind of like, hey mate, they're being really tough to deal with.
Yeah.
Can you have a chat to them?
Yeah, of course.
Like I can get around. Okay, that's kind of like, even though technically you could look at that as like, not great.
Yeah.
I can go, okay, that's a normal conversation between human beings that is trying to get a deal done.
Yeah.
It's the apply the blowtorch that's like.
Yeah, it's very, very forthright, isn't it?
Yeah.
Don't forget you can text us anytime, 0457 736 736. We've got one here from Troy. Kempy, I'm going to throw this at you. Who has been the most disappointing so far in round one, the Roosters, Parramatta, or the Broncos?
Broncos.
Is there another major upset? My tipping is garbage so far.
Broncos by a stretch.
So you could put a case for all three of them, couldn't you?
I don't think you can. Okay, so Roosters lost to Warriors, who finished higher them on the table last year.
Yep.
Eels always get towed up by the Storm, and also
Seeded at 50 as well.
Yeah, but the Storm were in a grand final last year.
Yeah.
The Eels finished 11th. The Broncos are premiership winners. At home, round one, didn't score a try.
Yeah.
I think it's the Broncos. Like, I really think that in all these other ones, there's a logical conclusion to it. Like, whereas the Broncos one, like, what saving grace excuse can you give the Broncos?
Yeah.
Whereas you can give excuses like Roosters, technically they finished lower than the Warriors last year. Warriors are a top 6 side. You look at the Storm. They're a grand final. They are way above the Eels. Eels are still in a rebuild. Broncos have no excuse.
Yep. Keep the text coming, 0457 736 736. Another one here from Andrew. Morning, boys. Great show. You are both doing well. So thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Dragon supporter here. Just got back from Vegas. Devastating. Lomax doesn't deserve to play for another rugby league club. He's walked out on 2 contracts.
Yeah, I understand the sentiment, but I just think, like, if there is a bit of contrition, like, you know what, I stuffed up.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right?
Yeah.
What do you think Lomax needs to do from a PR perspective?
Oh, mate.
Because I said it, like, players and clubs will have Lomax, but the fans are the ones that are going to need to be smoothed over, aren't they?
Mate, I think most people, if he came out and said, you know what, I stuffed up, here's why, it was a lot of money, and I just thought, you know what, this is going to set me up for life, I think most people would go, you know what, we've all stuffed up. We've all made mistakes. And I think that if I was his PR guy, I would say, listen, if you really want to be back in the NRL, I would come out and publicly say, I'm sorry, I stuffed up, and I'll play at any club that the Eels are happy for me to play at. If he says that, I think a lot of people go, okay, that's fair. Like, whereas if he was picking the top tier clubs, like, it just doesn't sit right with fans. Where if he says, I'll play with, like, for example, if you're talking purely about reputation repair, if he traded with Barnett to the Warriors, listen, Warriors fans, when you're playing bad, they can be tough.
Yeah.
But when they love you, they love you. They will fight tooth and nail for you. So if he was to go to a team like the Wires, and I know it's a big ask, I'm not saying he has to do that because he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
But if you're talking purely reputational recovery, I think that would be a huge push in that direction.
Yep. All right. This is Saturday League Kickoff with Chad, Townsend, and Denan. Kemp, give us a ring, 1300 01 1170 anytime, or text 0457 736 736. Coming to you live on SEN and simulcast live in studio on Fox League and KO. Coming up, we'll look at some of the biggest NRL storylines from the off season. This is Saturday League Kickoff.
An odds update brought to you by Pointsbet.
What's gambling really costing you?
Okay, time for a Pointsbet market update. I'm Nick Ashman, Woodsy, Aaron Woods, Sharks, Titans. I tell you what, Sharkies have won 11 of the last 12 clashes between these two clubs. Does it become 12 from 13?
Oh, look, I'm not sure, but I think I'm going to have to go with the Sharkies. I know Josh Hannay, former assistant coach of the Sharkies, with the Titans now. He's going to go down there. It'll be a tough initiation, but I like the Sharks at home.
If you want to play a try scorer punters, consider Nico Hines. He was running the ball well in the trials. 3 tries in his last 5 clashes against the Titans. Sharkies averaging 33.5 points per game against the Titans across the last 5 games. Sharks is the tip, and also to score over 29.5 points. Hey, Woodsy, let's move on. Manly versus Canberra, 7:30 p.m, 4 Pines Park. Canberra won 8 of the last 10 games on the road. Is that a problem for the boys?
Oh, look, it could be a big problem. They had a great season last year, the Raiders, but I'm liking Tommy Trbojevic with the C next to his name. I think he's a big chance of being an anytime try scorer tonight, and I reckon he's going to light up Brookvale Oval.
Well, you're going to love this one. Turbo scored 8 tries in his last 5 games against the Raiders. And speaking of big try-scoring games between these two clubs, 4 of the last 5 encounters, there's been over 40 points in them. So how does this sound? We'll take Turbo any time and over 40.5 points.
Oh, I love it, Nicky boys. Thank you, Pointsbet.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, visit gamblinghelponline.org.au.
Yes, this is Saturday League Kickoff with Denan, Kemp and Chad Townsend. Crust pizza, real ingredients, unforgettable flavours. Large pizzas from just $15. T's and C's apply. Now, don't forget you can call us anytime, 1300 01 1170, like Margaret has. Good morning, Margaret, this morning. What do you got for us today?
Oh, I'd like to talk about Stephen Crichton, why he's protected. Is it because Phil Gould, or I know he's a good player, but why does he get let off all the time? Can you answer me that, boys?
Yeah, look, I can't speak for the NRL, but I do think that, with professional sport and, and this is across all sports around the world, that, superstars do get the rub of the green. It's really that simple. It's not what I like, it's not what I want, but it's just the way of the world. It really is the way of the world. Superstars, they want them on the field, they sell tickets, they lift ratings. So if there's any way to kind of look the other way, it's just the way of the world, to be honest.
Yep, definitely. Well, thanks for your call this morning, Margaret, Kempy. Now it's time to get into some of the biggest news in the off-season. Now, Mitch Barnett, who is the enforcer for the New Zealand Warriors, currently out with an ACL injury. He has made the decision to leave at the end of the season on compassionate grounds. Where does he end up, Kempy? What are we thinking here?
Well, it seems like the Broncos are firming. It seems like it. But then you've got, obviously a trade with the Eels could happen with Lomax. You've got potentially Burton, because the Warriors have come out after that announcement and saying we want to be compensated.
Yep.
Which is fair. And so with the Broncos, yes, they're losing Payne Haas, but, what young forward are you going to trade, or even outside back, really? Who's getting traded for Barnett? I think that, look, as a selfish Broncos fan, obviously I want as many good players as possible. I'm not going to say no to Barnett.
Selfish Broncos fan.
But he's 31 years old, he's 32. Is it worth losing a young potential player for a guy that is a bloody good forward? If he was 28, I'd say, mate, lock him in. Get him to the club. It's just the fact that he's 31, 32, coming off an ACL. He's quite versatile, but I just don't know who you can trade for him. Because what I will say is, if the Warriors get dudded, I don't want him.
Yeah.
I think the Warriors have been so gracious. I mean, the compassion, there's a lot of players are less than compassionate grounds. And granted, the compassionate grounds are usually real. Family, things go wrong.
Yeah.
And when the base of your family is in another country, the likelihood that something you're going to have to move back is higher. You know what I mean? Whereas if you grow up in New Zealand, you're not going to get released on compassionate grounds because that's where you're from. So I just want the Warriors to get properly compensated, and I just don't know who the Broncos have to do that.
Yep. Before we continue the conversation, the texts are rolling in, 0457 736 736. Got one here from 708. Lads, killing it. Watching on KO. Beak, I don't reckon your snoz is that big, brother. Stop being so tough on yourself. Okay.
Look, I will say, people think it's a negative having a schnoz like this, but it's actually, I was designed to go fast.
Yeah.
Literally,
aerodynamic.
Yeah, sculpted by the gods to move through the air quickly. So, listen, I appreciate the compliment. I'll be a bit of a spring in my step. But my wife always tells me, ugly guys are hot.
Yeah.
Ugly guys are hot. Ugly guys are in.
Yeah.
So that's all right for me.
All right. Let's hear what Michael Maguire had to say about the potential recruitment of Mitch Barnett.
I talk to a lot of the players that I've coached over time, and he's one of them too. He's got great character and obviously my style of player, and so in time, I don't know. I sort of tend to leave that part to the front office, but he's my style of player.
Yeah, he's my style of player too. I think he's a style of player, maybe. But look, again, I want the Warriors to be fairly compensated. And I think that what's good about what the Eels have done is clubs now see, when a bigger club comes along, and obviously the Broncos are a big club. Granted, Warriors are a big club too, but you know what I'm saying? They're a big club. You can actually not get bullied.
Yeah.
And so, is money the Warriors aren't financially in the necessarily same spot as the Eels, so money could be a good thing for them.
Yep.
But I just don't know I don't know who we trade for him.
Yeah, we got another text here from 322. There is a team in Perth that would love Barnett. Garn the Bears.
Nah, it doesn't suit him.
Yeah.
Broncos. No, I'm joking.
But on the fact of compassionate grounds, you don't think Mitch Barnett is going to go to Perth. It's like he's made this decision for family reasons. So
Yeah.
we assume it's either back to Australia. I don't where Mitch Barnett's from. Is it Sydney? Is that where he wants to move back to? Is it, family reasons?
Look, again, it's a hard thing to talk about because I don't know exactly what the issue is. It's with his children.
Yep.
But again, the question will be, and I don't like talking about this, but it will be questioned by some fans: is how can you go to Brisbane instead of Sydney when you want to be close to families? Now, I will say, having played at the Warriors, flying from, and obviously yourself as well, bro, it is a full day going through customs. Whereas flying from Brisbane to Sydney, you wouldn't want to do this, but you could literally live away from your family and see them every weekend. You could wake up at 5 a.m. and be in Sydney by 8:30.
Yeah.
So there is that, but those questions will be. I think they will arise.
Yep, definitely. And the Compassionate Grounds 13, I think it was on X, and I actually did leave the Warriors on Compassionate Grounds.
Yep.
Due to my wife's mother fell ill, so we wanted to move back. So I can definitely relate to Mitch Barnett and the circumstances. Some things are just bigger than football, so let's hope Mitch Barnett can sort his future out. Nonetheless, it would be a big loss for the Warriors, who are expecting some form of compensation. So what that looks like and how they can get on the same page for the Warriors, that'll be one to keep an eye out. Mate, let's move on to another big talking point in the offseason. Payne Haas leaving your dearly beloved Brisbane Broncos. Probably the one of, if not the best front rower of all time. He's had a Hall of Fame career already. He's left the building after winning a premiership with the Brisbane Broncos. Kempy, I can just only imagine you would have felt sick when you found this news out over the season.
Mate, it stung. It doesn't feel real, to be honest. And I actually think the wider, unless you're a South fan, I actually think the wider rugby league audience also probably doesn't feel real at the moment.
Yep.
I think it's when it actually happens, we'll all be like, oh my God, this is actually going ahead. Look, I will say he's asked to leave before. I think that, when this all dropped, there was this narrative about, where has this come from? And I understand that because there weren't whispers about South, but it's not really a shock. For at least 3 years, he's been rumoured to have been leaving. Now, all my understanding is that Rugby 360, that was almost a done deal and then, fell over or whatever.
Yeah.
But even 2023, I think he asked to leave the Broncos. So it's not like something's changed and he's gone, okay, I don't want to be anymore because this thing has changed or whatever. He's always kind of wanted to go back to Sydney.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. I'm in the position where he's given so much to the club.
Yep.
He took us from a spoon, could have left any time in that period for more money and didn't. He's done his job. I just want whatever is happy, makes him and his family happiest.
Yep. And it's interesting to note, obviously, the clauses in there, for R360. Do we expect him to take a look at the R360 deal when it arises? Obviously, you can just only imagine the money that they're going to throw at him is going to be astronomical.
Yeah.
And he might be like, I've done everything I wanted to do in rugby league. Like I said before, he's had a Hall of Fame career already.
Yeah.
Do we expect him to look at the R360 deal and potentially make a move over there to the Rogue League?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. It just makes sense, I guess. He's won a comp. He's won Origin Series. He's played for both Samoa and Australia. I just got a text here. Hakeem Haas. Apologies,
Haas,
guys.
that's right. Sorry. Sorry, Port Adelaide Dragon.
Yeah.
That's right.
It's just you're so used to saying it's been nearly a decade since we've been talking about Hakeem.
Yep.
I just think that it's a no-brainer with the Rugby 360. Okay, he could chase legacy and win another comp at Rabbitohs or whatever, but he's still got 2 years to do that.
Yeah.
And also, it's so much money. It's the amount of money that's being reported, at least, is he could play for 2 more years and never have to do another contact session again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Oh.
I
That'd
think,
be great.
Look, I understand it's a privilege to play rugby league. It absolutely is.
Definitely.
I'm never going to say it's not. bro, it is hard being a professional rugby league player. It's
The
so hard.
The demands of the modern game it's harder than they've ever been. And as I got older over the course of my career, like the boys now, the preseason, they're running far further than they've ever ran before. They're running faster. They're tackling more. The defensive sessions, the contact sessions, there's more than it's
Wrestle
ever been.
and that.
Wrestle.
Yep.
Because the game is so quick. Obviously, we've got the 6 again, the rules, the ball in play. You look at the difference between ball in play stats now compared to a couple of years ago. The same with average defense or average tries conceded. Because the game is quicker, there's more tries. So it's obviously, it's going to get to some stage where it's like, how much quicker can we actually make the game? Kempy, let's move on to Origin eligibility. Obviously, massive news in the course of the off-season. The eligibility rules have changed. There have been some players heavily or will be heavily impacted, notably Adam Fanua-Blake, Britton Nakora, AJ Brimson to come front of mind. But where are we at with the Origin eligibility changes?
Yeah, I mean, I've been pretty firm on this. It feels wrong, but I think it's the right call. Like, it just, for me anyway, it just doesn't feel right that a player is going to play for Queensland or whatever, and then I'm going to see him line up for the Kiwis. But it absolutely is the right call. I just think if you can't really straddle. Look, what gave us the ability to straddle the fence before was we gave these players an out with Samoa and Tonga.
Yeah.
And so they've improved so much now. It's just not fair on the Kiwis in England that we give them this benefit. Like if you're a Kiwi fan, or at least, sorry, if you're a Kiwi coach and you're going to try and convince a young person that is eligible for Tonga and also the New Zealand for Kiwis, like playing for Tonga is way more appealing. And I know there's country pride or whatever, but it's way more appealing because you get to represent your culture, one of your culture, but you also are still eligible for Origin. So like, initially early in your career in your best years, you're going to take that.
Yep.
And so I just thought that's unfair on the Kiwis. And also, so with that out of the way, that we no longer have the luxury of going, they're second-tier nations, and so that's why we can do it. It's either all or nothing. Like, it would be either, the fairest options would be this. We go full conservative, and it's like you play for Queensland, New South Wales, and then you play for Australia.
Yep.
Or we go down the route we're going down. And I just think if we went full conservative in tradition, I just think the Origin game would be impacted so much to the point where we would all be looking at each other going, this is not the best 17 versus the best 17.
Well, nowadays, the modern game, right, the stats of Polynesian players playing in our game, they're the highest than they've ever been. You look at the impact that we've had in Samoa and Tonga over the international game, the growth that it's had since Jason Tamalalo and Andrew Fafita made that huge decision to defect to Tonga. Obviously, some massive names as well followed them. And now it is what it is. It's phenomenal. International Rugby League, obviously the World Cup at the end of the year, and Adam Fanua-Blake now eligible to play for New South Wales. This is Saturday League Kickoff with Chad Townsend and Denan Kemp, all thanks to Crust Pizza, real ingredients, unforgettable flavours. Last chance to call in after the break, 1300 01 1170. Get involved. This is Saturday League Kickoff.
This is the Saturday League Kickoff, and they're saying it's one of the greatest debuts of all time. I didn't say that. That's what they are saying, one of the great debuts all time. Guys, coming up next on SEN, Crunch Time with Sean and Blake Austin. Those watching on Fox League can listen on SEN 1170, SENQ 693, or SEN Gold Coast, or anywhere around the world on the SEN app. And it's it's all brought to you by Crust Pizza. Real ingredients, unforgettable flavours. But Chad, how you feeling, mate, after the Saturday debut?
It's been a fantastic show, to be honest, Kempy. I've really enjoyed the past 2 hours. We've had a stack of texts.
Thank you so much for that. Yeah, been really good.
Massive thanks to everyone who's joined the show, called in or texted us this morning. We've got a couple here to finish on. We've got one here from 559. Guys, just leave your name on the text, all right? We want to see some names on the text. Chad, what fertiliser do you put in your hair?
But seriously though, what?
I actually do have a bit of product in today, right? Because we're on TV, we're on Fox League and KO today.
Okay, got dressed up.
So I was like, usually, if I'm on SEN on radio, I'm like, I don't really do the hair, but I'm like, I better just spruce up a bit, have a bit of a shave.
Okay.
Put the product in the hair.
Okay. Got some more text here. Tip for you, Kempy. Kiwis to win the World Cup. Our forward pack is unstoppable with our extra running forwards 5'8" round. I think we keep it simple and roll through the cup. New Zealand late. Maybe.
It's tough to pick this one.
Yeah.
The World Cup.
Absolutely.
At the end of the year.
Absolutely. So got some more Queensland pick form, New South Wales pick on names. New South Wales could build a 10-year side with the form of these young fellas. Example, Ethan Strange. Got Elvis Presley texting us. Great show, boys. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for all the texts. We will be back next week. Text in next week. It's going to be a great show after the Broncos put about 60 on their opponent. One of the best planned losses all time last night. But make sure to stay tuned. Sean, Blake Austin, be joining us. Thank you, Chad. Thank you to everyone.